Hey everybody, welcome to our Q&A video, our Season 1 wrap-up of The Lost Imperials. One of the first wrap-up videos we're going to be doing on this channel. I'm kind of excited about this. We only had 3 questions asked, but that's okay. We'll go over them. We'll go over them and discuss kind of what's going on. And as you guys, you can either have me in the background or you can watch. This is just kind of going over the B-roll of Sanguiphage expanded, which doesn't mean we're going back. I was just kind of looking at the new mods. I kind of wanted to go over them. Well, I got some B-roll for like one scene in episode 1. And this B-roll will probably appear again in like maybe, I don't know, like 4 or 5 other scenes down the line in the future. But yeah, we're just recording some quick grabs. Anyhow, so Season 1, The Lost Imperials, finally over. And I'm really sad. I've been sad about it for a week because I took a week off from doing anything. Heck, even from posting. Season 1 being over leaves us into what's going to happen with Season 2. We have a Demon Prince that, as far as the boys know, is maybe weaker. Something that Nyx shared with Coulson at one point, leaving us to wonder what is going on with the world and where are we exactly. So, Season 2, will it take place on the same planet? The answer is yes. We haven't gotten off planet yet, so there's really no need for us to not be on the same planet. That being said, I know there were a lot of people wanting to see certain factions during Season 1. And the thing is with some of these factions, they just wouldn't have fit for the story that I was looking to tell. It's not like I'm trying to avoid these factions at all. In fact, I'd like to kind of maybe try and dive into some of them in later stories, in later seasons. But they weren't going to be the highlight for the Lost Imperials. Lost Imperials itself was designed with the focus being what happens if the Psyker Transport plays with the warp a little bit too much and opens up a gateway to somewhere that ends up being kind of like a cross-dimensional, separate universe plane, which was meant to be the focus. And I never really got into that deeply because the story kind of went in a direction that I was having more fun with at the time. So a lot of that will be explained in Season 2, just to kind of give you guys the understanding of what is going on in Season 2. And what's been going on throughout the season. The goal of it is what happens if the warp dumps you out in a place that really doesn't have the warp in it. Meaning, a lot of Chaos Forces, since they kind of humdrum and fiddle thumb off in the warp consistently, what happens if they just like fall through this? And of course there would be some Chaos Forces off on the planet, and they would be trying to establish themselves or try to refigure out how to get off world, or just how to figure out how to get off world, or maybe take the world over and utilize. That being said, we may actually do a Chaos Forces playthrough on the planet that we're currently on for the Lost Imperials, and we'll call it like Chaos Lost or something goofy like that. But it was entirely meant to be a what happens if the forces of chaos and like a small detachment of Casterkin, like a very, a squad who is doing something entirely different, ends up lost in a different universe where all of a sudden their bodies look completely different, at least from a perspective of RimWorld. They no longer look human, but to them they've always looked that way. But what happens if they get lost? They get sent to an area where there is no Imperial presence. There is no Imperium. There are no Eldar. Hell, the people that we thought were Tau were not Tau. All of a sudden, they're just like weird fish people. I guess that counts as Tau. We could still shoot them, no worries. All of a sudden, we come across orcs. The orcs are wearing Imperial Guard uniforms, and they're being super friendly and sus. We might as well shoot them just in case. All of a sudden, now we have another worry. There's an orc infestation on the planet. How bad is it? And really, it's not that bad. It's just humans modified and changed, which they found out that, everyone on planet's actually human. They just are abhuman. From an Imperial perspective, they're mutants. And as they found out, they're able to change these mutants back to normal baseline humans. So that was kind of a fun, if an Imperial force lands on planet and at least one of the members of the Imperial force is a bit more in tune with thinking outside the box and not being so regimented, even though as a commanding officer he should have been a bit more regimented, kind of gave him an outlook of, all right, let's see what we can do to make people human again. So that was kind of that focus for Coulson in the end, and that just kind of happened naturally because of his building a relationship with Nyx and kind of falling under her spell, and as her powers weakened somewhat because there's no constant connection to the warp, he kind of just accepted that he got tricked into being in this love. If he hadn't really fallen in love with Nyx, and their relationship wasn't as strong as it was throughout the entirety of the campaign, that would have been an interesting change. There was points where I was like, all right, they're probably gonna kill Nyx at this point. This has been a long answer for, will season 2 take place on the same planet? It absolutely will. There won't be any other factions from 40k in the Lost Imperials. It is the remaining Kasserkin. So season 2, same planet, same characters. So don't have to worry about that. No major changes there. Any major changes on the mod list? I am going to have to look into re-adding some 40k mods that were slowing things down and that I wasn't really utilizing, and that there weren't any important factions that I was using out of them. And I'm going to have to make the changes, because now that we had a Demon Prince pop up, which was fun, that was natural. He was just a part of that faction, which was hilarious. And I was like, oh, I'm going to steal that character. We can't kill him. Before he even engaged in combat, I was like, I'm stealing you. You're mine now. So we recruited him, and that's a little behind the scenes tidbit. And just looking at his stats, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be an interesting fight. So we got him. He's now part of the cast. There's certain enemies that I would have loved to have be a part of the cast, but they got devastated and destroyed. Certain people running away, leaving. So there's a lot to the mod list that I want to make changes to, but I also would love there to be more 40k mods that are done in the same art style of RimWorld, so it's not such a jarring look to see high quality, high resolution 40k armors in RimWorld, where everything is pretty basic, pretty simple. So there's that. But I'll readdress the mod list when it comes time for Season 2 to be looked at and start up again. The implications of Nyx reviving V through Necromancy. That's a good one. That's a good question. We were originally going to revive V through Resurrector Mech Serum, and like most RimWorld players, I forgot to make a cooler in the temple. specifically for our honored dead. So V rotted, as you guys saw in that in that portion of the video. V was a skeleton, so there was no flesh to revitalize. So when I realized that, I had to take a couple days pause, and I was like, we'll come back to this scene in a season or two. And I played for about, I'd say 12 hours to get Nyx's side casting up all the way. I still had to have her on teaching duty, so she couldn't meditate all the time. And she was pretty later on in the levels for meditation, but we had to drive through Necromancy. And I was going to have it be like she learned from someone about Necromancy and as a way to do it, but Nyx is pretty smart. She's got a high intellectual. I think she's like a 20 with a double passion, if I remember right. And so I was like, well, she could probably figure out through psychic energies that like necromancy is a thing, and she could resurrect V through necromancy. So I let her do that. I let her get away with the necromancy. As far as lore implications, the boys were well and above okay with it. I think they were pretty ready and raring to go with removing the night hominids and us no longer being consistently attacked back to back, almost non-stop by the night hominids. We went through 1 year where we were getting like 3 raids, a quadrum. And I was just like, it never ends. We barely had enough time to rebuild defenses. And I was like, God damn it. I was like, I just got to get you guys out of here. You're done. You shot the second child in the spine and left her for dead when you were just patrolling through the area. I was like, no, you're just done. I'm sick of you. And the boys were pretty eager to get V back up and then get themselves going and leaving V behind to take care of everything once he woke up. So as far as lore-wise, I don't think I'm going to worry too much because there's not a lot of 40k factions on planet, and the only people who are left are V and Nyx with any real Imperial indoctrination and knowledge of like what is taboo and what isn't. The others have like an idea through teachings, but you know, how much of that do they really believe because it's not consistently being driven into their heads, right? Like we don't have on the base, we don't have statues to the Emperor, we don't have statues to Space Marines, we don't have servitors. Our tech priest went insane, and so, you know, I think it'll be time for us to finally finally make some changes to the religion or to the ideology. So there's that. And that's kind of it for questions, but we do have a whole mess of characters I'm sure some people are wondering about. So the Nyx and Coulson bloodline is Ren, Nils, Redeye, Auric, and their new baby, who never got a name. Anu has Anu and Grief have Sir, and then another new baby coming on the way. V has nobody. Or the elders of the Kasser are Nora, Zhang, and Hothead. Nora is our doctor, who is actually getting replaced by Hothead, which is kind of funny, just through skill differences. So they really can't have kids. Mel, Beryl, Dumbo, Dude, Cass, and Sin are our other eligible faction members. However, Beryl with her story, I was like, I love the fact that she's a tanker and a tank commander, and I was like, I love that. And so we're gonna put her in a giant tank suit, and just her love is gonna be of that tank suit. And if she gets into a relationship, I think that's freaking awesome. I would love to revisit that character at some point of like having been in this war casket for so long. What's her thought process, where she's at. Dumbo and Cass both tried separating Coulson and Nyx multiple times and failed, to the point where Nyx views them as rivals and hates them immensely, and the two of them are like, all right, fine, we hate you too. However, with Coulson gone, Dude and V are really the only eligible men. Red Eye, of course, could try getting into a relationship, and Auric eventually. It would be a huge age gap, but a lot of it is we need new men, as I said before, to diversify and to try and get into relationships just to keep the colony surviving. And of course we have another Impid, Cuven, as well, who is there. Oh, and by the way, Mel can't have kids. He had a vasectomy, and I think there's a way to change that, or to reverse it. I'm not 100% sure, but Mel had a vasectomy. So those are the characters that are available in terms of like youth. Dude, Cass, Sin, and Dumbo are the ones that have youth. Chakin is on the slate to get a nerve stapling, story-wise. She will survive, but they're going to make sure that she is controllable. And not in such a state where she can be out of control, in the way that she gets sometimes, or got multiple times. So that's kind of where she's gonna be. Other than that, though, Auric and Sir, and if you guys don't remember, Auric is the son who was born with the hero trait, and that was like huge. I was kind of excited about that. So what is that going to mean for him? I don't know, other than I have some cybernetics ready to implant. A lion heart is one of them. We are going to make a goal to try and archotech Auric out completely, and just have him be a beast of a character. And we're going to see kind of like what happens with this character and where his mindset's going to be. If he's the hero, is he going to go down this trait of like corruption, or is he going to continue to be a good child, a good son, and follow his father's teachings in a way? Because he does have the warlord psycasting, so that'll be interesting to kind of like watch him evolve and just become this insane fighter. His melee skill is nuts. Him and Sir have a really great like brotherly friendship. I caught them one day and I was like, why is Sir unconscious on the ground? Like, who beat up a 4-year-old? He was like 4 or 5. And I noticed that Auric was bloodied as well, and the two of them got into a social fight. And after that moment, they were like the best of friends. Neither of them were getting at each other. They got along after that, which was fun. So that's about it, really, for the Lost Imperials. We're gonna be taking probably about a 2-season gap break. So we'll probably, depending on how long the show is gonna be and how long the next series is gonna be after that, the show is probably gonna be about 12 episodes. The following season is gonna be a lot of like mini-sodes. That one is gonna be 40k centric. I have some gags to involve with that show that I think will be pretty funny. Possibly, I could be completely wrong, but that's what that one's gonna be about. That one, so it'll be the show. It'll be another like little 40k series, and then back to the Lost Imperials, and then we'll take another break from the Lost Imperials after season 2 ends. I hope that explains everything that went on with the Lost Imperials and the process there, and that kind of wraps everything up. So thanks for sticking out for this long. Shout out to the patrons who support the channel. Huge help. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. And you guys too as well can support the channel on Patreon by heading down in the description below and hitting there. You can also support for free by hitting like, subscribe, and hitting the bell notification so you get notified when a video comes out, and you can always come and watch. And comment. Ask me more questions. I like answering questions about the series. It's fun, especially when I'm not like hiding it to myself in the way that I would keep certain secrets when running a tabletop campaign. So thank you all so much. I will see you for the premiere of episode 1 of the show, and hopefully give you guys some answers as to the questions of like, why are they green? What is the show? All right. I will see you all in the next one. Peace.